Good morning. My name is Laila Mohib. I'm the Director of Special Projects for Emerge, and I'd like to welcome Judge Jasmin Lilly-Spells. Thank you for tuning into Emerge's Women History Month celebration of women judges. Our conversation today will focus on the powerful impact women judges are having in our judicial system during the historic Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing to the Supreme Court of the United States. So again, I'm Laila Mohib, and I'm thrilled to be here to speak with Judge Jasmin Lilly-Spells. Judge Lilly-Spells is a judge for the 8th Judicial District Court in Clark County, Nevada, and an Emerge Nevada class of 2020 graduate. Prior to her judgeship, Judge Lilly-Spells served in the Clark County Public Defender's Office for over a decade and was named Chief Deputy Public Defender while volunteering as a court-appointed special advocate and a mediator of the Neighborhood Justice Center. She received her Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of California, Irvine, her Juris Doctor from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, William S. Boyd School of Law. I'm excited to speak with her today as we at Emerge celebrate women judges who are continuing to make and live history as they lead in their communities. So thank you again, Judge, for joining us. Tell us about your seat on the bench. What kind of cases do you hear?
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be able to come on and speak with you and support an organization that is doing amazing things within all of our communities. I currently hear cases in both the criminal and the civil arena. I am a trial court judge, and so the courtroom and the position that I have is the last stop before you get into the appellate process. I hear civil cases that have a dollar amount of at least $15,000 upwards, and then I hear very serious criminal cases, including felonies and gross misdemeanor offenses.
Wonderful. It sounds incredibly diverse, the work that you do. Being a judge is a unique and important role in the justice system. Why did you decide to serve in this way?
I have a heart of service, and I've always wanted to serve and help my community. So being a judge really allows me to do so in a greater capacity. I also ran because I felt that there was a need to further diversify our bench, and I wanted to offer our community another perspective. We see oftentimes that people go into the bench from, if they've practiced criminal before, then we see that typically it's from the state side or the district attorney side. And we have not had historically as many attorneys come doing criminal defense and go into the bench. And so I felt that it was a good time to try to, again, further diversify our bench, but also be able to serve my community in a greater capacity.
Thank you very much, and thank you for running.
Thank
Judge
you.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is slated to be the first Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. What steps do you think we need to take in order to see more Black women join the bench?
Definitely such an important question. I myself am a first generation graduate student, and I didn't know any attorneys until I met my professors at law school, actually. I didn't see myself in the spaces that I am currently in. And so I think that we need to take a tiered approach. First, we need to acknowledge and definitely celebrate these historic moments. But we also need to convey to all of our children that it's possible to dream, that they can be whomever they want to be. I think it's extremely important that once women break into these spaces and they reach the positions that they have, that they go into schools, that they mentor, that they are part of the community, that they have those conversations, that they make sure that people can see them so that other little girls and little boys growing up can say, hey, there's someone who looks like me, or there's someone who came from the neighborhood that I live in, or there's someone who has the same religion as me, or, they're different. And that conveys the ongoing message that children can be whatever they want to be. They can dream big, regardless of whether they know someone in that position or see someone who looks like them. So I think that that's extremely important. And I think that it needs to start, if not as early as elementary school, maybe even earlier, that we're getting into these spaces, because children start dreaming in the formative years, which would be 0 to 5.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I have a 1-year-old, and so I'm very excited about what he can be in life. And so thank you for being such a great example for him.
Thank you.
May I ask you, Judge, what does an equitable judicial system mean to you?
Yes, an equitable judicial system to me represents the citizens and also legal backgrounds. An equitable judiciary actively trains regarding unconscious bias, and it implements protocols to ensure that members render the most fair and neutral decisions. I also think that an equitable justice system takes into account the mental and physical and emotional health of its judicial officers because within the law itself, we see that there are unfortunately high level of abuses of drugs and also high levels of divorce, and it's because it can be a stressful job. So I think that it's important to acknowledge that that is within the field and ensure that while the courts need to be moving justice along and cases need to be heard in a timely fashion, we need to be aware of everyone's health so that we don't have a breakdown within the system or within the overall legal system, even within the attorneys. I also think that an equitable justice system needs to be groundbreaking in studies and research to understand the intersectionality of rehabilitation with punishment and understand how we reintegrate individuals who have made mistakes back into our society to ensure that all of our communities remain safe.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I didn't know a lot of the facts you just said. And it's just a really interesting thing to remember. We have to talk just about the holistic parts of our society and the work we do. May I ask you, in recent years, we have seen more and more women, especially women of color, run for judge. What do you attribute that to?
I'm so happy to see women really taking charge and putting themselves out there. And I think that organizations like Emerge and other supportive networks have assisted in the pipeline of women deciding to run for political office. I think that specifically women attorneys are realizing that we have much to offer and it's no longer taboo. I think it really just takes, again, seeing yourself in these spaces. Before, we had a predominantly male dominated field within judges as well as within attorneys. So having that first or that second, it really can help to facilitate others having the courage to do so. And again, I think that Emerge, other very supportive networks are in the forefront of ensuring that we have women applying for and running for these seats.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. As an alum of one of these programs, the Emerge program, you have a network of alums behind you. Why is it important for women to support one another as they seek office?
It is so important, and I'm glad that you bring that up. Even in 2022, we see a lot of women taking on more traditional roles, and we see that there are a lot of women who are balancing a number of things on their plate. Their spouses, their moms, as you said, you're a mom of a toddler. And so it's so important that we have a network that we can go to, that we can speak to, that can encourage us, that understands the unique challenges of trying to be a working mom, especially a professional working mom. And to me, having just that entourage and that rally of women who are going to allow you to cry without judgment, who are going to forever encourage you, who may be your support network to watch the child or do a school pickup. It takes really a community. It takes a village to raise children. And I think it takes a village sometimes to break into these glass ceilings and get into these areas because you can't do everything on your own, right? Um, Campaigning can be difficult. You're gone every night. And so without that supportive network, I think many people don't have the energy or the encouragement to keep going.
Well, thank you. And finally, what advice would you give to women who want to serve as judge?
I would tell women and specifically children, little kids who are looking at what they want to do in the future, that you can do anything you want to do, that don't let anyone tell you any differently. Have, write down maybe some of those encouraging things that the people have said about you and that your family has told you, and keep those in your back pocket because there are going to be days when you will be called every name under the sun. You will be characterized as things that you don't agree with or that you believe are incorrect about yourself, and you can't let that stop you. It is important that you share your talents with the world. I would tell that woman or that child that you are worthy and that you're deserving to share your talents, you're deserving to serve your community. And I would tell them, don't stop. But once you get to where you want to be, don't forget to turn around and reach back and be that mentor and help the next person who is trying to ascend.
Thank you, Judge. That's such impactful and powerful advice. I'd like to thank you for joining us for Emerge's Leading from the Bench conversation. And I'd like to tell everyone and remind everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow up on social media for more information. Judge Lilly-Spells, thank you so much for your time and for the work that you're doing. It was a pleasure to be able to spend some time with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. And it was definitely a pleasure to be able to speak with you and to support Emerge. Thank you.
Thank you.